host of the Gridiron.
There's a good chance, right? The Giants should have plenty of money to spend next season. Now, this would be quite beneficial for the Giants, right? If they did a very good job this offseason in the draft. Very, very good job. I believe, once again, did they screw the things up with Saquon? You can certainly look at it. Was he going to do with the Giants what he's doing? Of course not. The Eagles, almost everybody's healthy. They have like no injuries, hardly any injuries, right? They have a very good offensive line, one of the best offensive line coaches in football, 2 number 1 wide receivers. Yeah, they got all of this, right? The only reason why they can afford all those players, the Eagles, because they have like $300 or $400 million in contracts pushed all the way down the road, right? They're pushing all the chips in the middle of the table. See, not many other GMs are doing. No, I mean, actually, the Eagles have the most money pushed down the road, far away above any other team. Right, so that's the only reason why the Eagles can field such a good team. Right, if they were what the Giants are and don't have a lot of money pushed down the road, the Eagles would not have as good of a team. But that's the only reason why the Eagles have as good of a team as they have a good team. But I mean, that's the only reason why their team is as good as it is. Right, plain and simple. But Saquon wouldn't be doing what he's doing with the Giants as he's doing with the Eagles. Of course not. Yeah. But I mean, they got Runyon. They did. Illuminor did a decent job when he was here. The draft was very, very good. Right now, if the Giants can get another good draft this season, now we might get another. We might get a couple. We might get like a compensatory pick, maybe a possible 4th rounder. So literally, we should literally have 4 of the top 100 players. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th round. About 4 of the top 100 players we should get. Those guys should be contributors, right? We get a compensatory pick, another 4th round pick, right? To be pick number whatever, I don't know, 130, whatever it might wind up being or something like that, I mean, if we, as I said, if you look, right, with Theo, Tracy, Newman, Phillips, and Malik, we had like 5 starters, right? If we can do the same thing next year, get another 5 starters, that would be huge. Absolutely. Another 5 young, cheap starters. That would be huge. The problem is that, Phillips has been banged up. Newman's out for the season. Theo Johnson's out for the season, But, it would be huge to have another good draft. But not only have that, but we should be able to bring in a couple players. Especially if we don't need to bring in a high-priced quarterback, right? If we can bring in somebody like maybe somebody along the lines, maybe a Drew Lock or something like that. Somebody as a backup, a decent backup, right? If we want to draft in Sanders or Ward, right? He'll be on the cheap. Of course, if he's the number 1 pick, it's about $10 million, but I'd rather have a $10 million quarterback than a $50 million quarterback, right? But we should certainly have some money to wind up spending. The Giants should have plenty of money to spend this offseason. Better days are coming, we're ahead, always being told. But for the Giants fans, it's going to take a lot of bonafide proof for them to start believing in their team again. That effort will begin in March when the league's new year begins with free agency. Dave Duggan of The Athletic reports that the Giants should be in prime position to bolster their roster with some established young veterans. If Joe Schoen gets a 4th year as Giants general manager, he'll have plenty of money to spend on a roster in dire need of upgrades. And if Schoen gets fired, he'll leave his replacement a much better cap situation than the one he inherited from Dave Gettleman, which is true. Let's not forget, we couldn't even afford to keep James Bradbury. The situation that Gettleman left us in, and basically we just handed James Bradbury to the frickin' Eagles because we couldn't afford to pay him, right? But the only reason why the Eagles were able to afford to pay him was because with all their other players. They just brought him in to get a good team, right? And they just took his bunch of people's salary, maybe his, I don't remember, and pushed a bunch of the money just down the road. We'll pay you later. Yeah, we'll just push all the money down the road. We'll get all good players in here. We'll have a good team. Howie Roseman looks like the GM of all time, and he just pushes all the money down the road, right? Giants are projected to have $57.3 million in cap space next year. That's a highly fluid number at this point, but it's the 14th highest projection in the league, so they'll be well positioned to spend. Giants are actually set in many areas: linebacker, running back, safety, wide receiver, tight end, and yes, even the offensive line to some degree. Naturally, they can augment and improve those groups through the draft and free agency, and they probably will. But they can surgically add a few big-ticket free agents to put them back on the right track. If Schoen has another solid draft, the Giants just might turn this thing around for good. But first things first. Duggan points out immediately that the Giants do not have a quarterback under contract for next season, at least not at the moment. All three of the quarterbacks, Tommy DeVito, Drew Lock, and Tim Boyle, will see their current contracts expire after this season. DeVito will not exactly be free to sign with another team. However, he will be an exclusive rights free agent, meaning the Giants I think if they offer him a contract, he has to sign it. So he's an exclusive rights free agent by virtue of not having 3 accrued NFL seasons under his belt. And the Giants will have first dibs on his services. With the Giants looking at a possible top 3 pick in the draft, they could be in play for either, obviously, Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward. That should answer the quarterback question. But if they don't land either and are staring down at Colorado's everyman, Travis Hunter, they might just take him and or trade the pick outright and obtain a quarterback in another way. In free agency, Sam Darnold figures to be the top name, but he'll be sought after by several teams. He might just steer clear of northern New Jersey for obvious reasons. I don't blame him. Just because he's a free agent doesn't mean you throw and the Giants or Jets throw money at Sam Darnold does not mean he's coming back here. Schoen will likely address the offensive line again. He hasn't gotten it right yet and is determined to do so. He has the money and bandwidth to go down that road, even with over $56 million committed to the group in 2025. Cornerback is another situation unit Schoen will likely target. The Giants have been focusing on this the past 2 drafts and will probably continue to do so. Now that the thing is obviously with the cornerback, right? I mean, maybe Banks is just not the one, right? Flott's been doing pretty good, right? But Flott does get nicked up quite a bit because these guys so thin. But he has not had a bad season at all. Phillips is very good in the slot, nickel, corner, whatever you want to call him, right? But maybe Banks should be slid over to the other side, maybe where he's not on the number 1 wide receiver. We'll have to wait and see. But we certainly could use a real good cornerback. Absolutely. Now that's something you can get in the draft. That's something you can get in free agency. So we'll have to wait and see. But we do need the bolster. And to be honest with you, we're obviously a little thin there as well too. Right? If we can keep Flott, we got Phillips and we got Banks, and we can get another guy in there, that would be a nice 4. Right, that would be good. So if somebody gets injured or whatever, if you got 4, that would be good. So I really think we need a defensive tackle, somebody to put next to Sexy. On the defensive side, I like to say, right, would be a defensive tackle and another cornerback. The linebackers, okay, I said we got our 2 edge rushers. Unfortunately, Zizo Jalari is probably going to hit free agency. We probably won't be able to bring him. Hopefully we can, but the guy's always injured. What is he now? He's injured, right? Unfortunately, for a period of time, we actually had 3 edge rushers this season, but we're going to need another edge rusher. That's somebody you can try to maybe get in the draft, maybe whatever 3rd round pick or whatever. We need some depth there, right? But now that is a depth thing. The Giants could use a good cornerback and a good defensive tackle, right? Without question, put next to sexy. So that's on the defensive side. Offensive side, we need a quarterback. You can get a running back, like trade somebody in the 4th or 5th round, right? We need a receiving tight end, right? Obviously, you're not going to fill all your holes in this one upcoming year, but between maybe this year, maybe the following year, you can need if you can get a good receiving tight end, that would be really nice. A nice weapon, that would be great. So another running back, maybe to replace Gray. We can obviously use another wide receiver. Yeah, but we need a quarterback. Yeah. But the thing is, I'm saying is that, to want to bring it in, a couple of free agents, because let's not forget, somewhere along the line, you might want to have to extend Kayvon, some of these other guys, if you're going to, maybe extend a guy here or a guy there, maybe keep a guy, you might need some money, right? But the Giants should be in a decent spot. Let's bring in a couple players. And I said, if they can knock it out of the park once again, like they did last year in the draft, and get another 3, 4, 5 starters like they did this year, that would be huge for the Giants. Not only so much for the starters, but we need depth. Because you notice it just seems like every year when the guys start getting injured and we put guys in behind them, it's just you notice a big drop off in talent, and it just the depth, the injuries, just kills the Giants. Absolutely kills the Giants. But once again, that's next year.